Welcome to a new kind of journey. Today we're doing something a little different, something I've been wanting to try for a while. As you can see, we are absolutely fresh into a brand new Minecraft world. Like, literally spawn it and punch a tree fresh. No cheats, no creative, just pure survival from scratch. And trust me, it's going to be a long journey. I've always found it fascinating how much drama and real life lessons you can find hidden in those subreddits. And honestly, sometimes grinding for diamonds feels a lot like grinding through a tough relationship situation. So why not combine the two? It's like therapy, but with more zombies. Right now, my first goal is to get some basic tools. Gotta get that wood, craft a crafting table, and then probably head straight for some stone. Yeah, you know the drill. We're gonna try and get into a cave as quickly as possible, because let's be real, who wants to be caught outside at night with just a wooden sword? Not me. I've been there, done that, got the respawn screen. So as I'm gathering these first few logs, thinking about where my first dirt house is going to be, and planning my descent into the unknown depths, it feels like the perfect time to introduce our first story. This one really hit me. It's about a guy, his long-term girlfriend, and a secret that just completely flipped his world upside down. It's a story about trust, betrayal, and trying to figure out if love can survive a lie. Let's dig into it. Now that the boring part is out of the way and we're safe underground, I can finally share this post I found on Reddit. I've been thinking about this all day because it's honestly mind-blowing. Here is the story. I found out my girlfriend has been secretly meeting her ex every week for 6 months. I just discovered that the woman I've been planning to propose to has been lying to my face every single Tuesday night for half a year. And honestly, I don't even know who I've been sharing my bed with anymore. Let me take you back to the beginning, because I need you to understand just how blindsided I am right now. Sarah and I met 3 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. I know, wedding romance, super cliche, right? But it felt different. She was sitting alone at the bar during the reception, nursing gin and tonic. And when I walked up to order a drink, she made some joke about how the open bar was the only reason she came. We ended up talking for 4 straight hours. We didn't even dance, we just connected. Those first 6 months were incredible. The kind of relationship where you're texting each other before you even get home from a date, where you find yourself smiling at your phone like an idiot on the subway. She was smart, funny, had this infectious laugh that would make everyone in the room turn and smile. She worked in marketing for a tech startup, had her life together, seemed emotionally mature. She'd been in a few serious relationships before, which I actually saw as a good thing. It meant she knew what she wanted, right? We moved in together after about a year and a half. My lease was up. She had a bigger apartment in a better neighborhood, and it just made sense. Her place was this beautiful 1-bedroom in the city with exposed brick and big windows that let in amazing morning light. I remember the first morning waking up there officially as her roommate and partner, watching her make coffee in my old college t-shirt, thinking, yeah, this is it. This is the person. Everything seemed perfect. We had our routines: Sunday morning farmers market runs, Friday night pizza and movie nights, Wednesday evening gym sessions together. We talked about the future openly, where we'd want to buy a house eventually, how many kids we might want, what we'd name our hypothetical dog. She wanted a golden retriever named Biscuit. I can still hear her laughing about it. But here's the thing, and I'm kicking myself for this now. There were signs, small things that I rationalized away because I loved her and trusted her. About 8 months ago, she started this new Tuesday night yoga class. She'd been talking about wanting to get more into yoga. So when she announced she'd signed up for this evening class across town, I was supportive, encouraging, even I'd have dinner ready when she got home around 9:30, ask her how it went, listen to her talk about the instructor and the other people in the class. She'd come home in her yoga pants and hoodie, hair up in a messy bun, looking appropriately tired. She'd show me photos on Instagram of the studio, talk about the poses they worked on. I had absolutely zero reason to doubt her. Zero. Then there was her phone. Sarah had always been pretty casual about her phone around me. She'd leave it face up on the counter, ask me to check her messages while she was driving, that kind of thing. But starting around 6 months ago, right around when the yoga class started, though I didn't make the connection at the time, she got a little more protective of it, not in an obvious way. Like, she didn't suddenly password protect everything or snatch it away when I walked by. It was subtler than that. She'd flip it face down more often, take it with her to the bathroom every single time, angle the screen away slightly when texting. When I noticed it, and trust me, you notice these things, even when you don't want to. I told myself I was being paranoid. I'd been cheated on in a previous relationship, and I didn't want to bring that baggage into this one. Sarah wasn't Emily. Sarah was different. Sarah loved me. So I swallowed that little voice of doubt and chose trust. There was also this weird thing where she became less interested in physical intimacy, not like it stopped completely, but it decreased noticeably. We went from being intimate maybe 3 or 4 times a week to once a week, sometimes less. When I tried to initiate, she'd often say she was too tired or stressed about work or not feeling well. And look, I'm not some caveman who thinks he's entitled to sex whenever he wants it. People go through phases, work gets stressful, bodies change, I got it. But combined with everything else, I should have paid more attention. And her ex, her ex. His name is Marcus, and they dated for 2 years before me. She told me they broke up about 6 months before we met, that it was mutual, that they just grew apart. She said they weren't in contact anymore, that they'd done the mature thing and gone no contact to fully move on. I respected that. I even admired it. The maturity to recognize that staying friends with an ex sometimes prevents you from fully investing in something new. But about 4 months ago, she mentioned him in passing. Just a casual, "Oh, I ran into Marcus at the coffee shop on Lenox Street. We chatted for a minute." I remember feeling a little pang of something, not quite jealousy, more like unease. But I played it cool, asked how he was doing, and she said fine. He'd moved to a new job, seemed good. The conversation lasted maybe 30 seconds, and then we moved on. I didn't think about it again. Looking back now, I'm wondering if that was a test. Like, she was gauging my reaction to see if she could mention him. And when I didn't freak out, when I was the cool, secure boyfriend who didn't get threatened by an ex getting coffee, maybe that gave her permission to keep lying. The incident when everything collapsed. So here's how it all came crashing down. Last Tuesday, as in 6 days ago, I left work early because I was feeling sick. I'd been fighting this cold all week, and by Tuesday afternoon I was running a low fever and just felt like absolute garbage. I texted Sarah around 3 p.m., told her I was heading home early, asked if she needed me to pick up anything for dinner. She responded pretty quickly with, "Feel better, babe, don't worry about dinner, just rest." I got home around 4, took some medicine, and crashed on the couch. I set an alarm for 8 p.m. because I figured I'd sleep for a few hours, then be awake when Sarah got back from her yoga class. But my body had other plans. I woke up randomly at 6:30, feeling slightly better but restless. You know that weird in-between state where you're too awake to sleep but too groggy to do anything productive? That was me. I was scrolling through my phone, mindlessly refreshing social media, when I realized Sarah had her iPad on the coffee table. She'd left it there that morning when she rushed out for an early meeting. We both use iPads, hers for work stuff, mine for reading and watching videos. And here's the thing, we've always been pretty open about our devices. I know her passcode, she knows mine. It's never been a trust issue. But her iPad was lighting up with notifications, just little preview banners at the top of the screen. And I wasn't trying to snoop. I genuinely wasn't, but I could see them from where I was sitting on the couch. Most of them were work emails, a few Instagram notifications, the usual stuff. Then one popped up that made my stomach drop. It was an iMessage from M with a heart emoji next to the name. The preview said, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same spot? I've been thinking about." That's where the preview cut off. I sat there for what felt like an hour but was probably 30 seconds just staring at that notification as it faded from the screen. My heart was pounding. My mouth went completely dry. There's this moment when you suspect something is wrong, but you haven't confirmed it yet, and you're standing at this crossroads where one path is blissful ignorance and the other path is a truth that might destroy you. I wanted so badly to stay on the ignorance path, but I couldn't. You know I couldn't. I picked up the iPad, my hands were actually physically trembling. I unlocked it and went straight to messages. I found the conversation with M and opened it. The first thing I saw was a message from earlier that day from Sarah. "Really looking forward to tonight. I've missed you so much this week." He's been hovering more than usual, and it's been hard to talk. And I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He was clearly me. I was the obstacle she was complaining about to whoever this was. I scrolled up. The messages went back months, 6 months to be exact. They were meeting every Tuesday, every single Tuesday, the same night as her supposed yoga class. The messages were intimate, not always explicitly sexual, but deeply emotional, inside jokes, references to shared memories. "Remember when we this," and "I can't stop thinking about that." And then I found it about 3 months back in the conversation she'd written. "I know I chose him, and I do love him, but God, Marcus, being with you again just feels right in a way I can't explain, like coming home." Marcus, her ex, the one she supposedly had no contact with, the one she'd grown apart from, the one she'd moved on from. My vision literally blurred. I don't know if I was about to cry or pass out or what, but everything went fuzzy for a second. I kept scrolling, kept reading, kept torturing myself with every message. There were nothing explicit, thank God, because I don't know if I could have handled that, but pictures of them at restaurants, at a park, in what looked like someone's apartment. His apartment, I assumed. They were sitting close, his arm around her in one photo. They looked happy. like a couple. There were voice messages too. I couldn't bring myself to listen to them. Just seeing the little waveforms of her voice, knowing she was saying intimate things to him that she wasn't saying to me was enough. The most recent exchange was from that afternoon. Marcus, 2:47 p.m. Still on for tonight. I'm making that pasta you love. Sarah, 2:52 p.m. Absolutely. Leaving work at the usual time. Should be there by 7:30. Marcus, 3:15 p.m. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same spot I've been thinking about. And that's the message I'd seen the notification for. He'd been thinking about what? What came after that sentence? What was he thinking about that he couldn't wait to tell my girlfriend? I sat there with her iPad in my hands, staring at these messages, and I felt this bizarre disconnect from reality, like I was watching this happen to someone else. This couldn't be my life. This couldn't be my girlfriend, the woman who'd kissed me goodbye that morning, who'd told me she loved me, who'd reminded me to take my vitamins because I'd been feeling run down. Then the anger hit, this white-hot rage that started in my chest and spread through my entire body. I wanted to throw the iPad across the room. I wanted to scream. I wanted to call her immediately and unload every furious thought racing through my head. But I didn't. Instead, I did something that I'm still not sure was the right move, but in the moment, it felt necessary. I took photos of everything, every message, every photo they'd shared, every damning piece of evidence. I airdropped them all to my phone. It took probably 20 minutes to document everything, and the whole time, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. My hands were still shaking. I kept having to stop and breathe because I thought I might actually vomit. When I was done, I put her iPad back exactly where she'd left it. I sat on the couch, my phone now full of screenshots that proved my girlfriend had been living a double life for half a year, and I waited. At 6:50 p.m., right on schedule, Sarah came home from work. She walked in carrying her gym bag, the one she supposedly took to yoga, and smiled when she saw me awake on the couch. "Hey babe, feeling any better?" She came over and kissed my forehead, checking for fever like she always did when I was sick. The normalcy of it, the tenderness, made me feel physically ill. How could she touch me like that, care for me like that, and then walk out the door to see him? "A little," I managed to say. My voice sounded weird to my own ears, flat and distant, but she didn't seem to notice. "Good. I'm gonna change real quick and head to yoga. There's soup in the fridge if you want something light for dinner. Make sure you stay hydrated, okay?" She was already walking toward the bedroom, pulling her hair up into the messy bun she always wore to yoga. This was my moment. I could stop her right now, confront her before she left. But some sick part of me wanted to see if she'd actually do it. If she'd actually look me in the eye, me, her sick boyfriend, and leave to go see him. "Okay," I said. "Have a good class." She changed in under 5 minutes. Yoga pants, sports bra, loose hoodie, sneakers. The uniform I'd seen her in dozens of times before, never once questioning it. She grabbed her keys, her gym bag, her phone. "Love you," she said, blowing me a kiss from the doorway. "I'll be back around 9:30. Text me if you need me to grab anything on the way home." "Love you too," I heard myself say, and then she was gone. The door closed, the locks clicked, and I sat there in our apartment with both our names on the lease, with our shared furniture and mixed together lives, and I felt completely alone. I didn't text her, I didn't call her. I spent the next 3 hours in this fugue state, alternating between scrolling through the screenshots on my phone and just staring at the wall. I kept thinking about all the Tuesday nights, 6 months of Tuesday nights. That's roughly 24 times she'd done this. 24 times she'd kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me, and gone to see him. The 24 times she'd come home and climbed into bed next to me, let me hold her, probably with his cologne still faint on her clothes. The question that kept circling my brain: was she sleeping with him? The messages suggested deep emotional intimacy, but they weren't explicitly sexual. There were references to being together and missing each other, and it feeling right, but nothing that definitively confirmed a physical relationship. Did that even matter? Was emotional infidelity somehow more forgivable than physical? I couldn't decide which would hurt more, knowing she'd been sleeping with him or knowing she'd been falling in love with him. At 9:42 p.m., I heard her key in the lock. She came in looking exactly as she always did after yoga, slightly flushed, hair still up, yoga pants. She even had that post-workout glow that I'd never questioned before. She dropped her gym bag by the door, kicked off her shoes, and headed to the kitchen. "You still awake? How are you feeling?" she called out, opening the fridge. "I'm starving. Did you eat?" I stood up from the couch. My legs felt weird, like I'd forgotten how to walk properly. I moved to the kitchen doorway and just stood there, watching her pull out leftovers, completely comfortable and unsuspecting. "How was yoga?" I asked. My voice came out steadier than I expected. "Oh, it was good. Really challenging tonight. We did a lot of balance work, and I almost fell over like 3 times. She laughed, that same musical laugh I'd fallen in love with. This one woman in class totally face-planted during tree pose. I felt so bad, but also, "Sarah?" I interrupted. Something in my tone made her stop. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw the exact moment she knew. Her face changed. The easy smile faded. Her eyes widened just slightly. "What?" she said, but it was barely a whisper. "Where were you tonight?" "I just told you. Yoga. Try again." The color drained from her face. She set down the container of leftovers slowly, carefully, like she was handling something explosive. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out my phone and held it up, showing her one of the screenshots of her messages with Marcus. I said, "Try again." I watched her go through all the stages. Shock for her mouth literally fell open. Then confusion, like she was trying to figure out how I'd gotten into her messages. Then panic as she realized what this meant. Then this weird calculation behind her eyes as she tried to figure out what to say, how much to admit, what story she could possibly tell that would make this okay. "I can explain," she finally said. "You've been seeing Marcus every Tuesday for 6 months. It's not what you think." I actually laughed at that, this bitter, harsh sound that didn't sound like me. "Really? Then please enlighten me. What is it?" "We're just friends. We've been catching up, talking through our old relationship, getting closure." Closure. I repeated the word like it was foreign. You need closure every single week for 6 months. You need closure bad enough to lie to me constantly, to sneak around, to tell him you've missed him and that being with him feels like coming home. She flinched at that last part. "You read all my messages," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. "Every single one. Saw the photos too. The ones of you two looking real cozy." "Real close?" "Nothing physical has happened," she said quickly. "I swear to God, we haven't had sex. We haven't even kissed. It's just been talking and dinners and emotional intimacy and sharing things with him you don't share with me and complaining about me to him and telling him you love me but being with him feels right." My voice was getting louder. I couldn't help it. Do you have any idea how that feels, to read your girlfriend telling another man, her ex-boyfriend, that being with him feels like home? She was crying now, tears streaming down her face, and I hated that. Even in this moment, part of me wanted to comfort her. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Marcus and I ran into each other and we started talking, and it felt good to reconnect with him, to remember who I was before. But I love you. I love you so much. You have a really fucked up way of showing it. I know, and I'm so, so sorry, but please believe me, nothing physical happened. I would never, you wouldn't like bite into like a friedness of this banana fritter, you said, and you get like that saw and come because you've been splitting yourself between us, giving him pieces of you that should have been mine, lying to my face every single week. I didn't know how to stop, she sobbed. Once it started, I didn't know how to end it without losing you both. And I couldn't, losing us both. I was incredulous. You wanted to keep us both? Is that what this was? You couldn't decide between your safe, stable boyfriend and your exciting ex, so you just decided to have both. No, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, because from where I'm standing, you've been living a double life. You've been my girlfriend in this apartment, and you've been his, whatever the hell you were to him every Tuesday night. So tell me, Sarah, what was it like? She couldn't answer. She just stood there crying, and I realized I didn't want to hear whatever justification she was going to come up with anyway. Nothing she could say would make this okay. The fallout living in limbo, that was 6 days ago. 6 days that have felt like 6 months. 6 days of living in the most uncomfortable limbo I've ever experienced. We didn't break up that night. I know what you're thinking. Why the hell not? Why didn't I kick her out immediately? Why didn't I pack my stuff and leave? I've been asking myself the same questions. The truth is, I was exhausted. Emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted. It was late, I was still sick, and the thought of making any major decisions in that state felt impossible. So we ended up in this weird stalemate where we both just went to bed. In the same bed, not touching. A canyon of space between us. I don't think either of us slept. The next morning, we had the conversation that I should have had the night before, but with slightly clearer heads. She swore again that nothing physical happened with Marcus. She said they'd been meeting to talk, to process their old relationship, to figure out why it hadn't worked. She said she never intended for it to become what it became, this emotional affair that took on a life of its own. She said she'd been confused, that she loved me and wanted to build a life with me, but that reconnecting with Marcus had awakened something in her that she thought she'd buried. Old feelings, old patterns, old dreams of who they might have been together. She said she'd been trying to figure out her feelings for months, trying to reconcile her love for me with whatever she was feeling for him. And here's what really messed me up. She said she'd been planning to end it with Marcus, that she'd finally decided I was who she wanted, that what she had with him was nostalgia and fantasy, not reality. She said she was going to tell him it was over, that she'd made her choice. When? I asked her. When were you planning to tell him? Soon, she said. I know that sounds like bullshit, but I was working up to it. I knew I had to end it. Were you going to tell me about any of this? Or were you just going to keep it as your little secret forever? She didn't have an answer for that. We've been existing in this awful space ever since. She's been sleeping in the guest room, well, our office that has a futon. She's been giving me space, but also trying to talk to me, trying to explain, trying to apologize. She ended things with Marcus, she says, sent him a long message explaining that it was wrong, that she chose me, that they couldn't see each other anymore. She showed me the message, offered to show me his response, but I couldn't stomach reading more of their conversations. She's been devastated, crying constantly, telling me how sorry she is, how much she loves me, how she'll do anything to make this right. She's offered to go to couples therapy. She's offered to show me her phone whenever I want. She's offered to move out if I need her to, even though she can't really afford her own place right now. And me, I'm a mess. I go through phases throughout the day. Sometimes I'm angry, this consuming rage where I want to scream at her, where I replay every lie in my head and feel like I could never forgive her. Sometimes I'm heartbroken. I'll remember some moment from our relationship, some happy memory, and I'll feel this crushing sadness that it was all built on a foundation of lies. Sometimes I'm numb. I'll go hours without feeling anything at all, just going through the motions of existing. And sometimes, God, this is the worst part. Sometimes I miss her, miss us, miss the relationship I thought we had. I'll see her in the apartment crying or just looking devastated, and I'll want to comfort her. I'll want to hold her and tell her it's going to be okay. But then I remember that she did this. She made these choices. She looked me in the eye hundreds of times over 6 months and lied. My friends and family don't know yet. I haven't told anyone. Part of me is embarrassed. Like, I should have seen the signs, should have known something was wrong. Part of me isn't ready for the onslaught of opinions and advice that will inevitably come. And part of me is still hoping that maybe, somehow, we can work through this. And I don't want everyone to have this tainted view of Sarah if we stay together. But can we stay together? Should we? These are the questions that keep me up at night. On one hand, she didn't sleep with him. She says she was emotionally confused, but ultimately chose me. She seems genuinely remorseful. She's willing to do the work to rebuild trust. We have 3 years of history, a life built together, future plans we made. Is it worth throwing all of that away? On the other hand, she lied to me for 6 months, 24 Tuesday nights of deliberate deception. She was building an emotional relationship with another man, her ex, while living with me. She told him things about me, about us, that she should have been telling me. She was comparing us, measuring us against each other. How do you come back from that? How do you ever trust that person again? And here's what really keeps me up. If I hadn't gotten sick and come home early, if I hadn't seen that notification, if her iPad hadn't been sitting on the coffee table at exactly the wrong moment, would she have ever told me? Would she have ended it with Marcus and just carried that secret forever? Would I have proposed to her, married her, never knowing that for 6 months of our relationship she'd been living a lie? Or would it have ended eventually? Would Marcus have pushed for more? Would she have had to make a choice? And would that choice have been me? Or would I have come home one day to find her bags packed, a note on the counter saying she was sorry, but she needed to explore what she had with him? And I've been doing a lot of thinking about my own role in this. And before anyone jumps down my throat, I know this isn't my fault. I didn't make her cheat. I didn't force her to lie. Her choices are her own, and I don't carry the blame for what she did. But I do think about whether I missed signs I should have caught. The phone thing, the decreased intimacy, the way she mentioned Marcus so casually that one time, were these breadcrumbs leading to the truth that I chose to ignore? And if so, why? Was I so desperate to believe in our perfect relationship that I turned a blind eye to evidence that it wasn't actually perfect? I also think about whether our relationship had problems, that I wasn't acknowledging? Were we as happy as I thought we were? Was I as present and attentive as I believed? Sarah's been saying in her attempts to explain herself that she felt like we'd fallen into a routine, that we'd stopped really seeing each other, that she felt lonely even while living with me. Is there truth to that? Had I gotten comfortable and complacent, assuming everything was fine because we weren't fighting? But then I counter myself and think, even if our relationship wasn't perfect, the solution wasn't to start an emotional affair with her ex. The solution was to talk to me, to tell me she was feeling disconnected, to suggest couples therapy before we got to this point. Adults in committed relationships communicate when they're unhappy. They don't seek validation and emotional intimacy outside the relationship while lying about it for half a year. And that's what keeps coming back to me, the lying. Not just lying by omission, but active, deliberate lies. I'm going to yoga. Class was great tonight. The instructor is amazing. There's this woman who always falls during tree pose. She constructed an entire fake narrative. She thought about her lies, made them believable, added details to make them convincing. That's not a mistake or a moment of weakness. That's calculated deception week after week after week. How do you rebuild trust after that? Everyone says trust can be earned back, but they never really explain how. What does that look like practically? Do I check her phone every day for the next year? Do I ask where she is every time she leaves the apartment? Do I never believe anything she says without verification? Because that sounds exhausting. That sounds like a prison for both of us. And even if we do somehow rebuild trust, what about the way I'll always see her now? She's not the person I thought she was. The woman I was planning to propose to, she doesn't exist. She was a carefully curated version of Sarah that hid her doubts, her confusion, her feelings for another man. The real Sarah is someone who's capable of sustaining a massive lie, of compartmentalizing her life, of choosing to hurt me repeatedly rather than having a difficult conversation. Can I love that person? Can I spend my life with someone I now know is capable of this? But then, and this is where I get really confused, everyone is capable of this, right? Everyone has the capacity to lie, to cheat, to hurt someone they love. Maybe I'm being naive, thinking there's some category of people who would never do this. Maybe Sarah isn't uniquely flawed. Maybe she's just human, and humans are messy and complicated and sometimes make terrible choices. And I also keep thinking about what my life looks like if we break up. I'd have to move out. We have this lease together until August, so that would be a whole financial nightmare to untangle. I'd lose not just Sarah, but our whole life, our apartment, our routines, our shared friend group, our future plans. I'd be starting over at 31, single, probably moving back into some shitty apartment with roommates because I can't afford a one-bedroom on my own in this city. And dating again, God, the thought of going back on the apps, of explaining to new people why my last relationship ended, of trying to trust someone new after this, it feels overwhelming. It feels impossible. But staying feels impossible too. How do I sit across from her at breakfast tomorrow and not think about every Tuesday she lied to me? How do I kiss her goodnight and not wonder if she's thinking about him? How do I ever feel secure in this relationship again, knowing that for 6 months I wasn't enough, that she needed more, needed him, needed whatever it was he gave her that I apparently wasn't providing? I'm also angry at myself for even considering staying. My dad cheated on my mom when I was in high school, and I remember thinking so clearly that she should have left him immediately. I remember feeling disappointed when she gave him a second chance, like she was betraying herself by staying. I swore I'd never accept that kind of treatment from a partner. I swore that cheating would be an automatic deal breaker, no discussion, no second chances. And here I am, not immediately packing my bags or kicking her out. What would teenage me think of me right now? What would my mom think? My friends? But life isn't as black and white as I thought it was at 17, when it's actually your relationship, your life, your future on the line. It's not so easy to just walk away. There are good memories tangled up with the bad. There's love mixed in with the betrayal. There's a whole life to consider, not just a principle. Still, there's this voice in my head, my gut instinct maybe, that keeps saying, you know you can't stay. That keeps reminding me that this kind of betrayal doesn't just heal, that the relationship we had is dead, and what comes after would be something different, something less, something haunted by what she did. That voice says, I deserve better than someone who could do this to me, that there are women out there who wouldn't lie to me for 6 months, that I'm worth more than being someone's backup plan while they figure out their feelings for their ex. But there's another quieter but persistent that says everyone makes mistakes, that says 3 years of good shouldn't be erased by 6 months of bad, that says people can change, relationships can heal, and maybe this could be the thing that ultimately makes us stronger. That says I love her, and love means fighting for the relationship even when it's hard. I honestly don't know which voice is right. So here's where I'm at, and here's why I'm putting this out there to all of you. I genuinely don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed by this decision. Every time I lean toward leaving, I think of a reason to stay. Every time I lean toward staying, I remember something that makes leaving feel necessary. I need outside perspective. I need people who aren't emotionally invested in this to tell me what they see, what they do, what they think I should do. So here are my questions for you. First, do you think emotional cheating is forgivable? If your partner had done exactly what Sarah did, secretly meeting their ex for 6 months, developing emotional intimacy but swearing nothing physical happened, could you move past it? Would you even want to try? Second, does it matter that she says she chose me in the end? That she was planning to end it with Marcus? Or is that just convenient timing? Her deciding she wanted me only because I was the stable choice, while she got to have her fun little emotional affair on the side. Third, how would you rebuild trust? Seriously, practically, how do you get from you lied to me for 6 months to I trust you again? What does that process actually look like? And is it even possible? Fourth, am I an idiot for not immediately ending this? Should I have kicked her out that first night? Are there any scenarios where staying and working on this is the right choice? Or am I just being weak and scared of being alone? Fifth, for those of you who have been cheated on, how did you know what decision was right? Did you trust your gut? Make a pros and cons list? Give it time? How did you get clarity when everything felt so murky? And finally, if you were my friend and I told you this story, what would you tell me? Not what you think I want to hear, but what you really honestly think I should do. Because right now, I feel like I'm drowning, and I need someone to throw me a lifeline. Even if that lifeline is just honest truth, no matter how hard it is to hear. I'm going to read every single response. I'm going to consider every piece of advice because the biggest decision of my life is sitting in front of me and I need all the wisdom and perspective I can get. So please tell me, what would you do if you were me? And more importantly, what do you think I should do?